Why receive vaccines against diseases such as polio that are now so incredibly rare in the United States? Well, the CDC.gov likes to point out that the only reason that these diseases are considered to be rare is that they have been largely vaccinated against, causing them to slowly become an eliminated threat. If we were to stop such vaccinations, we would go back to how it used to be, when they used to be perceived as a threat. There are vaccinations that are considered mandatory by law, vaccinations that are considered mandatory by law in order to be allowed to attend school, and vaccinations that are considered to be recommended by doctors but have no legal requirement for them to be received. Within the mandatory vaccinations, many of the laws associated with them differ by which state reside in, and what/if there's allowed to be any form of exception. Different types of exceptions that differing states allowed are religious exceptions and philosophical exceptions. Religious exceptions is when someone can prove that their religion is against them receiving the vaccine, and philosophical exceptions is when someone is philosophically wrong with them receiving the vaccine. There is one exception that every state in the United States does allow, though, which is the medical exception, when it is deemed to be medically unsafe for that person to receive such vaccine.
The case our group focused on was the Arkansas case, Boone v. Boozman. Boone v. Boozman discusses Arkansas's code annotated provide that no child shall be admitted to school without proof of immunization from certain diseases. The Arkansas Department of Health is charged by Arkansas statute and federal regulations with auditing the immunization status of Arkansas schools' children, which includes notifying schools and/or citizens of any lack of full immunization status. Hepatitis B has been designated as one of those diseases from which school children must be immunized. As a transfer student, Ashley Boone was required to submit proof that she had received the hepatitis B vaccine. Cynthia Boone brought to the present action after the Cabot School District on October 1st of 2001 informed her that her daughter, Ashley Boone, could no longer attend Cabot Senior High School because she did not have a hepatitis B vaccination. Cynthia Boone sincerely objects to the administration of hepatitis B vaccine to her daughter for religious reasons on a concise ground, which include traditional parenting concerns. The immunization statute does provide a religious exemption. However, the General Assembly limited the exemption as follows. The provision of this section shall not apply if the parent or legal guardian of that child object on the grounds that immunization conflicts with the religious tenets and practices of a recognized church or religious denomination of which the parent or guardian is a member of. The Department of Health employs persons who are pursuant to the immunization statute and under Defendant Faye Boozman's direction screen religious exemption applications to determine whether the applicants satisfy the recognized religion requirement, and if so, whether the tenets and practices of the said religion conflict with the immunization program. Overall, the percentage of school-aged children in Arkansas whose parents seek religion exemption is only a small fraction of 1% of the total school-age population. Although Cynthia Boone was never formally filed the application for a religious exemption, the Department of Health has evaluated Cynthia Boone's claim to exemption and determined that because Cynthia Boone is not a member of a recognized religion with tenets against vaccinations, she is not eligible for the religious exemption.
Those who disagree with the ruling say that it violates the First Amendment, which guarantees freedom of religion. This means that if the mother practices a religion that opposes the vaccination of children, the court should not force her to go against her beliefs and vaccinate her children. Some also claim that the child's health would not be in danger, since she can rely on herd immunity, a concept that says that one individual who is not immune to a disease will be protected from that disease if he lives among a large group of people who are immune.
Here highlighted is 4 of the 10 different people that we interviewed that brought up some specifically interesting standpoints for why they agreed or disagreed with the outcome of this specific case. 2 of which agreed with the outcome of the case and 2 of which disagreed with the outcome of the case. Each person interviewed was asked 3 questions: whether they agreed with the outcome of the case, what their stance was on herd immunity, and whether they had chosen to receive all mandatory and recommended vaccines or had just received the mandatory vaccines. Bailey and Maddie disagreed with the outcome of the case, both pointing out that people should have the right to choose. Maddie pointed out specifically that people should have the right to follow their religious beliefs, and Bailey pointed out specifically that the government should not be able to force the child to receive the vaccine because the mandating of the vaccine would not be something based too much on the personal views of the court, and that people should have the right to choose based off their own personal view on vaccinations. Dr. Pizzari and Ryan both agreed that the ruling was fair, stating that it was fair to be forced upon since it was for their own healthy benefit. Ryan pointed out specifically that the person was still a child who was not yet capable of making their own decisions, and that his view on the case would have been different if the person receiving the vaccine was an adult. Dr. Pizzari pointed out specifically that we need to work towards the good of the public health, which is why it would be deemed mandatory, but that vaccinations can only be deemed mandatory after they have been proven to be safe.
Those who argue that the mother's religious beliefs should be respected are using a Kantian approach to morality. Kant says that every human should be treated as an end in himself and never as a means to an end. In this case, forcing the mother to go against her religion and vaccinate her child for the good of public health would be using her as a means to an end and ignoring the fact that she has beliefs that deserve to be respected. Most of those who agree with the judge's decision justify their reasoning based on utilitarianism, which states that goodness is directly proportional to how much happiness is produced. In short, the best thing, or the best decision, is the one that produces the most happiness in the highest number of people. If the child is vaccinated, the risk of a hepatitis B outbreak decreases, and the general public feels safer. Therefore, more people will be happy. Those who justify the ruling on the grounds that the child's health deserves to be protected are using an Aristotelian approach to morality. Aristotle stated that to be a good person, you have to have certain virtues, which are good traits of character formed by habit. Examples of virtues are courage and loyalty. So to be good, you have to get in the habit of doing good things. In this case, it would be a good thing to promote your child's health and safety over your own beliefs.
Since the Boone versus Boozman case was in 2002, this hepatitis B vaccine is now not nearly as controversial as it once was, now in 2018. To provide our interviewees with a more recent controversial vaccine that would get them to truly understand the controversy at hand, we brought up the current parallel of the controversial HPV vaccine. There has yet to be a court case as such fighting the HPV vaccine, but there are many disagreements that people have letting children receive this vaccine, as some people feel as though children will now have a false sense of security from receiving it. The HPV vaccine is a recommended vaccine in many states, but there are some states that have also made it mandatory to attend school, making it controversial for the people who would not like to receive it, especially since it does not have an excellent record for being safe. Many wonder if there's another way for us to encourage as many people as possible to get their vaccines, yet not have it be something that is forced. The National Institutes of Health talks about a different way that a country has found to get many of their citizens to be vaccinated. In Australia, they offer financial incentives for parents who ensure that their child meets specific immunization requirements between the ages of 18 months to 2 years, and then yet again if the child is continuing to meet these requirements between ages 4 to 5 years. All children are allowed to attend school, with the exception that the unvaccinated are not allowed to attend during specific outbreaks. If we were to implement an incentive-based way for people to receive vaccines, we would allow choice in the matter while still getting as many people as possible to get vaccinated.
As a group, we agreed upon the Kantian approach. Each person should not be used as a means to an end. People should be able to make their own personal decisions for themselves, and it is morally okay for her to be at risk for not receiving the vaccine since she is fully aware of what the risks are for not receiving it. Therefore, courts should not be able to interfere with someone's personal decisions and/or religions.